Just as your fingernail can hide the sun from your view, a belief so small can shadow the truth from your experiences. That is a saying that I'm borrowing from Muji, one of my amazing masters. Good morning, evening, afternoon. It's Dr. Jacinta Mpali Nkana, your counselor, transformational coach, speaker, and author. In this talk, I'll be sharing with you a few tips about depression. And at the end of this talk, you will learn from my view on what depression, the symptoms of depression, the truth about depression, and how to release your grip from the depression. So the takeaways are the symptoms of depression. Number 2, the truth, some of the truth about depression. And number 3, some of the things that you can do to overcome a depression, to release your grip from a depression. Now, what makes me the expert in depression? Why am I talking about depression? Well, first of all, depression is one of the most common contemporary emotional states, problems, issues that the whole world experiences today. Everyone uses the term, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. They don't even know what depression is, but somehow their emotions point to that. The pharmaceutical industry is making billions of dollars from this word called depression, because there are so many tablets, pills off the market and prescribed that promise to release people from depression. So that's why I'm talking about it. Since number 2 is I've gone through it. Oh boy, and it hurts. I'm gonna share some of the things I went through. And number 3, some of my clients also experience it, or they believe they experience depression, or they believe they are depressed. So I thought it would be a good idea for me to share some of the ways that you can overcome this perceived depression. So some of the symptoms, my symptoms that I experienced, and those of the clients that I have helped overcome depression, are emotional pain. Somewhere, somehow, some unexplained pain propels from your inner core, beyond the heart, in the heart. I don't know, from somewhere within you, pain pops up, and this pain is like emotional pain. It is, oh man, at least for me, it brought me down on my knees. It will come from nowhere, out of nowhere, and suddenly I will start feeling this emotional pain, and it will stay first it stayed for an hour, then it would stay for 2 hours, and during those 2 hours I'm literally down on my knees crying because I'm hurting. Why? I don't know. Hurting how long? I don't know. And it would stay and really torture me and humble me, bring me down to my knees, literally break me down. And sometimes I would also feel a sharp pain in the middle of my brain. Literally, I think my nervous system, my neurological system was having a hard time dealing with my perceived pain. And in the beginning, I did everything I can to fight it. Nothing worked. Symptom number 2 is anger. Some of the some of the clients I've dealt with, and generally anger is one of the symptoms of depression. When you're depressed, anger becomes your escape, because you don't know how to deal with this emotional state. You don't know how to deal with a heart that is inexplainable. You don't know how to uncreate what you've created. You get angry. You get angry at the depression. You get angry at what triggered it. You are really angry at who you believe started it. You are angry at yourself, so anger becomes part of your experience. And then the other symptom, this is if you are depressed for a while, is disassociation. Oh man, this is so uncomfortable. It's like your brain kind of like checks out on you. So you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't even realize yourself. You don't recognize yourself. You start losing your cognitive abilities. And this is so painful, because imagine looking at yourself in the mirror and you don't know who is looking through those eyes. You see the eyes, you see who you're there, but you're not. You're somewhere else, you don't even know where you are. It is so uncomfortable. And then the other symptom is lethargy. You're lazy, you're giving up, you're like beyond sad, and then you lack focus. Sometimes you can't sleep, skin disorders, and general discomfort, really comfortable in your body. Now, these are some of the symptoms that point to a depressive state. Now, again, I am not a psychiatrist, so I don't have the qualifications to point or diagnose depression. But as a counselor, I can only deal with the root causes or the creations, the emotions in a counseling using other traditional means to help you overcome or release your grip on a depression. So we are going to takeaway number 2. So now that you know the symptoms, let's go to takeaway number 2, which are the truth, some of the truth about depression or this perceived depression. Truth number 1 is that you believed something before the depression. Remember the first quotation I gave you, that just as your fingernail can hide the sun from your view, a belief so small can shadow the truth from your experiences. So you believed something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you lost a whole bunch of money, and then you came to a conclusion that you continue losing that money. You kind of forecasted the future, and you created a belief based on the past that, hey, listen, I think I'm going to be broke forever. I think I'm going to continue losing. I think I'm going to get bankrupt or whatever. And then this belief that the future is going to be like the past starts creating these emotional states, and then you believe those emotional states, and then ta-da, those create that depressive state. Okay, so you believed something. So you believed something before that depressive state. And then truth number 2 is that you now believe that you're depressed. You believe that you're depressed. So your thoughts of depression were believed into your depressive state. Remember, a thought believed will create. So you created this for yourself. And I'm sorry to tell you this. Most people don't want to hear this, but this is the truth. I mean, I created it for myself. I've been there, done that, and I'm sharing my experiences as well. So I'm not excluding myself from this. You, my friend, believed or believe that you're depressed. And then truth number 3, you also believe that the depressive state has control over you. You believe that you don't have any more power, and the depressive state has literally taken over your life. You believe that too, because if you didn't, you would know that you're not this depression and it's just an emotion, and you can definitely release your grip from it. And then truth number 4 is you also believe that this is going to be forever. You don't see a way out. And once you don't see a way out from this belief you've created, guess what? It creates fear. And then fear creates more depression, depressive states. And then more depressive states create more fear. So it's like a circle. Go depression, depressive state, or perceived depressive state, fear, fear, depressive state. So it goes on and on and on until you break down. Okay, so how do you get out of it? How do you snap out of this depressive state? Number 1, I am here to remind you that if you perceive it, it's not you. Perceptions are thoughts, they're ideas, and ideas are just ideas. If you believe these ideas, they will create reality. They will create your reality. Again, my teacher Moji also indicated once that a thought believed will create. Okay, when you believe a thought, it's gonna create crap. A thought will never be employed by itself. If you witness a thought in your consciousness and you do not give it attention, you deny it your attention, it's just like a cloud in the sky. It's just like a cloud in the sky, exactly. It doesn't mean anything. It floats away, goes back where it came from, or disappears. So once you give it attention, that's the beginning of you creating beliefs around it and then manifesting it into your reality. So how do you overcome it? Just know a few of the things. Just knowing these things will help you simply and effortlessly overcome and release yourself from the depression. Tip number 1 is I want you to understand these terms that we use. Most of these terms are null and void. They're ridiculous. Okay, so how do you think the researchers, the scientific researchers, came up with the term depression? This is what happens with these conclusions. A bunch of researchers identify a target audience that includes a bunch of people, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 for a certain period of time in a certain area, maybe across regions. And they research or identify common symptoms in this test group for a certain period of time. And then they also maybe examine and monitor the brain function of the people in the target audience. So they monitor the symptoms, the behaviors, and the brain function. And then after a certain period of time, they come to a conclusion about what they have believed is the cause and the effect of that condition. So they come up with a compounded conclusion on the condition and come up with a term. And that is exactly what happened with depression. I hope I'm clear. So a bunch of scientists examine or research on a bunch of target audiences, people experiencing the same symptoms. They examine their neurological functions, their brain functions, and then conclude on a condition and come up with a name. Ta-da! Depression. Now, this term was originated very many years ago. Although research has been ongoing on it, it doesn't mean that just because you have a few of these symptoms that you are depressed. The idea is to isolate yourself from the masses, from the mass researchers, from conclusions that you have not individually experienced or found answers for yourself. Just because you're feeling pain in your heart or you feel disoriented, don't recruit terms like depression to represent your condition. Do not recruit those terms, because those terms are heavy with PR. They are heavy with their own conditioning. There's so much that has been spoken about depression that once someone says you're depressed, when you go to the hospital and they tell you you're depressed, you become more depressed because of everything that has been said about it. So don't believe what you have not found out for yourself. Don't believe that just because you have a few symptoms, you should conclude that, okay, you are like everybody else. We are all different. The conditions, the causes of our depressive or perceived depressive states are all different. So you cannot conclude on what other people have experienced and what the researchers have for many years ago concluded to be a condition. Just know that these are emotions, these are depressive states, or maybe these are uncomfortable states within your mind, and they do not equate to a general term that a bunch of scientists concluded on. So, in a nutshell, just know that depression is a term, full stop. You don't have to borrow it to define your condition. Step number 2 is a perceived depressive state is just an emotion. It's just an emotion. And if you close your eyes and look for this emotion within you, you will never find it. It feels like some temperature, maybe warm, maybe heated, maybe somewhere, somehow, but you will never be able to pinpoint and visibly identify an emotion. Because guess what? It's a passing thing. It's just a thought. It's just an idea. It's nothing in reality. It's a perception. And a perception is just that. So don't let this perception create another illusion, another thought, and then create another belief, and then you start feeling uncomfortable because of something that literally does not exist. If you try to find it, you will never find it. Okay. And then the other tip is that the belief that you are depressed is just another thought. You are not depressed, my friend. Let me give you an example. Let's imagine the sky, vast, infinite, beyond infinite. Let's imagine a bunch of clouds floating in the sky. Dark clouds. The sky will never identify with the clouds. The sky lets the clouds be. The sky will never, we are the ones who say, oh man, the sky is dark. No, the sky knows that it's different from the clouds. The clouds are just lingering in its realms. But it is the same before, during, and after the clouds. So borrow that same concept that you are the same during, before, and after any discomfort, any emotional discomfort. So these emotions, these beliefs, these thoughts are dwelling in you, and they don't make you you. So the sky will never say, oh, I'm dark clouds, I'm a dark clouded sky. No, it will always know its identity. I am the sky, I'm space, full stop. I'm not going to borrow anything foreign that dwells into my realms to define me. So don't let the things that dwell within you to define you. They are not you. And then tip number 4 is you are the perceiver. What you perceive, anything that is perceived is not you. Anything that's perceived is not you. And why is that? Because you are the perceiver, you are the seer. Just because you see a mouse doesn't make you just because you see a mouse doesn't make you a mouse. Just because you see a chair doesn't make you the chair. You are the perceiver. You perceive the emotion. And if you perceive the emotion, it's up to you not to marry yourself to this emotion, to recruit it, marry it, and make it part of your life. It's just something that is passing. So just become an observer, which is tip number 4. Let the depression be what it is, what you've created it to be. Don't fight with it. Don't try to just observe it. Just still sit down whenever this emotional pain comes, and then let it be. Let it be. And trust me, once you let it be, you will soon lose the fuel, the energy you were giving it, and it will dissolve. At least that's how I healed my own depression. I would sit down, close my eyes, and let it burn, and it burnt. It burned so hard, and eventually it was already, it started decreasing from 2 hours to 1 hour and a half to 1 hour, until it completely left, because I was no longer giving it my attention. Attention is what gives it the fuel. When you give a thought an attention, you're fueling it, you're energizing it, you're creating more of it, you're recruiting it, you're bringing it into your consciousness. It will dwell there, recruit more of itself, and create realities that you don't want to deal with. So just know that these thoughts, these emotions are just ideas, they're just thoughts, they're just emotions. Let them be. Don't fight with them, and focus on who you are, who you truly are. You remember the example I gave you about the sky? Remain you. Remain the perceiver. Remain the observer without attaching to what you're perceiving, without attaching to what you're observing. It's like watching a television, okay? Watching television. And when you're watching television, maybe you're watching horror movie, let the movie play in the screen. Listen, even if you try to look for the people in the movie behind your screen, you won't find them. You just sit and watch and enjoy, and once the movie is over, I hope you leave it there, unless you recruit you identify some lessons, but you don't carry the baggage, the people who are in there and what they did. You don't retrieve them and carry them along with you. You can't do that, because it's all a movie. It's a movie playing in your screen. So just imagine that all these emotions are just movies, stories playing in your consciousness. That is it. You are pure consciousness. These things that play in your consciousness don't make you them. You were there before they were. You were there before they were. You were before the depression. You were during the depression, and you will be after the depression. You are, unless you recruit this passive depressive state and marry yourself with it, and then you be carrying a burden, a baggage that is not yours. Okay, so after all that talk, you might say, Jacinta, what can I practically do? Maybe you don't want to use all these things I've told you. Maybe you don't want to use your mind. Maybe you don't want to sit down and observe that this perceived depressive state is just that. What do you do? Okay, these are a few other tips that you can borrow. One, meditate. Sit down in silence and examine your heartbeat, and then be grateful for each heartbeat. Just focus on your heart and let it beat. Watch it as it beats. Even when you're feeling depressed, let the depression be and just observe your heart, and you would discover just how gifted you are, how precious you are, how lucky you are to have a beating heart, meaning how lucky you are to be expressing yourself as a live being in this dimension, in this era. So just sit in meditation and observe your heartbeat. And then you could also do a gratitude list. But those lists sometimes don't work, because when you're so depressed, you're like, I don't even want to do those gratitude lists. You're not grateful for anything. You are in pain. One thing you can do is to go for a walk in nature. I used to hike a lot, so go hiking and just let the depression be, but hike, go in nature and be present. Be in nature, hike, and definitely you will feel a sense of relief. And then exercise, and then avoid alcohol. Don't escape. Don't recruit any other substances to escape the perceived depressive state. Just become an observer. Continuously know that you're not this depression. All right, I hope this helps. If you need more help, please send me an email at tapthegood@gmail.com. Again, I'll include the email in the content below, in the menu below. In the description window, I'll include my email. If you need more help, I will be able to examine what exactly you're going through, and we'll work together to help you release the depression. In the interim, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I appreciate you. I hope this helps, and I'm sending you abundant love from my heart to use. Peace and blessings.